Shifu found him as a cub, and he raised him as his son.
Everyone blames Tai Lung for becoming a villain, but what if I told you that the real villain of Kung Fu Panda was never Tai Lung? What if it was the one person who was supposed to protect him, his own father, Shifu, and I can prove it. Now, before you say no way Shifu is the villain, just hear me out, because there is a detail in the first movie that almost nobody talks about, and once you see it, you will never watch Kung Fu Panda the same way again. But to get there, I need to take you back to the very beginning, to a cold night at the Jade Palace, because that night is where the real story of Kung Fu Panda starts. And no, it doesn't start with Po falling out of the sky, and it doesn't start with the dragon scroll. It starts with a basket, a tiny snow leopard cub, alone, no parents, no note, just a baby left at the doors of the Jade Palace like he meant nothing to whoever brought him into this world. Shifu picks him up, and right here, in this moment, Shifu had a choice. He could have found this cub a normal family in the Valley of Peace. He could have let him grow up as a regular kid, play with friends, eat dumplings, live a simple, happy life. But Shifu looked at this baby and he didn't see a son. He saw a project. He saw the future dragon warrior. He saw the student that would make him the greatest master in all of China. And from that night, Shifu started building Tai Lung into something, not someone, something. I trained him, I raised him, I believed in him, I told him he was destined for greatness. Did you catch that? Listen to those words again.
He told him he was destined for greatness.
Shifu told him he was destined for greatness. Not you are great. Not I love you no matter what. He told a baby who was abandoned by his real parents that his entire value depended on becoming something. And for a cub who was literally thrown away, do you know what that does? It tells him one thing. I am only worth something if I am the best. If I stop being the best, I will be thrown away again. Shifu planted that fear inside Tai Lung without even realizing it, and that fear is what turned into darkness. But the worst part hasn't even happened yet, because years go by. Tai Lung trains every single day. He masters every technique. He becomes the most skilled warrior the Jade Palace has ever produced. Not just in his generation, in history. And the entire time, Shifu is right there, telling him this is all for the Dragon Scroll's son. This is your destiny. So the day finally comes. Shifu takes Tai Lung to Oogway, and Shifu is confident, maybe the most confident he has ever been in his life. There is zero doubt in his mind. But then Oogway looks into Tai Lung's eyes, and what does he see? He doesn't see the greatest warrior. He sees a broken kid, a kid who was so desperate for love that he turned that desperation into hunger for power, a kid whose entire self-worth was built on a promise that should never have been made.
I'm sorry.
Oogway says no, and here is the moment I need you to pay very close attention to, because this is the detail that changes everything about the movie. When Oogway says no, what does Shifu do? Does he turn to Tai Lung and say, "Son, this doesn't change anything? I'm still proud of you"? Does he argue with Oogway? Does he fight for the student he spent his entire life training?
I'm sorry.
He stands there in silence. He says nothing. Now, put yourself in Tai Lung's position for 1 second. Your entire life, the only person who ever cared about you told you that you were meant for this moment. And now that moment is taken away. And that same person just stands there and lets it happen without a single word. What would you feel? Because I'll tell you what Tai Lung felt. He felt abandoned. Again, just like the night he was left in that basket. casket. The only difference is this time, he was old enough to feel every bit of it. And that is when Tai Lung snapped. Not because he was evil, not because he was born bad, because the one person who was supposed to love him no matter what just proved that his love was conditional all along.
I'm sorry.
But here's what gets me, and honestly, this is the part that makes me the most angry about Shifu. After Tai Lung's rampage, after Oogway stops him, after they lock him up in Chorgom prison, Tai Lung sits in that cell for 20 years. 20 years, chained, alone, in the dark, with nothing but his own thoughts. And in those 20 years, how many times does Shifu visit? 0. How many messages does he send? 0. The person who called himself Tai Lung's father completely erased him from his life. Like he never existed. And you know what makes this even worse? During those same 20 years, Shifu gets a new student, Tigress, another orphan, just like Tai Lung, another kid who desperately needed a father figure. And what does Shifu do with her? He becomes cold, distant. He barely shows her any emotion at all because he was terrified that if he loved another student the way he loved Tai Lung, the same thing would happen again. So instead of learning from his mistake, he just stopped loving altogether. With Tai Lung, he gave too much praise for the wrong reasons. With Tigress, he gave no praise at all. Different mistakes, same result. Both students grew up feeling like they were never enough. But here's the thing, there was someone in this franchise who got it right, and this person proves exactly how badly Shifu messed up. And honestly, most people completely overlook him. Mr. Ping, a goose, a noodle shop owner, not a kung fu master, not a wise tortoise, just a goose who makes soup. And yet Mr. Ping did the one thing that Shifu never could. He loved Po for who he was, not for what he could become. Think about this. Mr. Ping didn't care if Po was the dragon warrior or the worst fighter in China. He didn't tie his love to achievements. He didn't push Po to be something he wasn't. Every single day, he just showed up and loved his son. No conditions, no expectations, just love. And that is why Po could do what Tai Lung never could. Because when Po opens the dragon scroll and sees nothing but his own reflection, he understands immediately. There is no secret ingredient. You don't need a scroll or a title or someone's approval to be special. You already are. Now, remember what happens when Tai Lung gets that same scroll. It's nothing. There's nothing. And I need you to listen to his voice in that moment. Really listen, because that's not anger. That's heartbreak. That's a lifetime of training, 20 years of prison, and a childhood of desperate need for approval, all crashing down in 1 second. Because no one ever taught Tai Lung that he was enough on his own. The scroll's message was literally the one thing that could have saved him. There is no secret ingredient, it's just you. But Tai Lung couldn't see himself in that reflection the way Po could, because Po looked in the mirror and saw someone who was loved unconditionally. Tai Lung looked in the mirror and saw an abandoned cub who was only valued for what he could do. And who put that feeling there? Shifu. But you know what the most painful part of this whole story is? Shifu knows. There's a moment near the end of the first movie that absolutely destroys me every time I watch it. It's when Tai Lung comes back to the Jade Palace. 20 years of rage, 20 years of waiting, and he finally faces Shifu. And what does Tai Lung say? He doesn't say, "I want power." He doesn't say, "I want the scroll." He says something that hits completely different when you understand everything I just told you. All I ever did, I did to make you proud.
What I ever did, I did to make you proud!
Let that sink in. The most dangerous villain in the Valley of Peace, the warrior who destroyed an entire village, and the only thing he ever wanted was for his dad to be proud of him. And then Shifu says the words that confirm everything.
From the first moment, I've been proud of you.
I have always been proud of you, but it's too late. It's 20 years too late. If Shifu had said those words once during Tai Lung's childhood, just once, not after the scroll rejection, not after 20 years of prison, just once, while Tai Lung was still a cub who believed his father loved him, none of this would have happened. No rampage, no prison, no villain, because Tai Lung was never born evil. He was just a kid who wanted to be loved, and the person who was supposed to give him that love turned him into a weapon instead. But I want to show you one more thing, because Shifu's story doesn't end with Tai Lung. In Kung Fu Panda 2, we see Shifu finally doing something he never did before in his entire life. He meditates, he sits still, he breathes, and for the first time ever, he finds inner peace. The same inner peace he should have taught Tai Lung. And in Kung Fu Panda 3, when Po needs to become a teacher, Shifu guides him with patience, with understanding, without pressure, without expectations. He finally becomes the master he always should have been. But here's the tragedy. It took losing Tai Lung forever for Shifu to learn this lesson. Tai Lung suffered in darkness for 20 years so that Shifu could finally understand what it means to be a real father. And that might be the most heartbreaking thing in the entire Kung Fu Panda franchise. So the next time someone asks you, who was the real villain of Kung Fu Panda, don't say Tai Lung, because Tai Lung wasn't born evil, he was made. And the person who made him was the same person who loved him the most, but never knew how to show it. And that is the real reason Shifu failed Tai Lung. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think Shifu was truly responsible for everything, or did Tai Lung make his own choices? And honestly, if Shifu had raised Tai Lung the way Mr. Ping raised Po, do you think we would even have a Kung Fu Panda story? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more secrets from the Valley of Peace, hit that notification bell because the next one is gonna blow your mind. See you in the next one.